Alright, Schlockmeisters fans, we're going to watch a horror movie from 1974. It stars Twiggy and Dirk Benedict. Never seen this before. It's called W. Just W. Or maybe it's W. I don't know. Let's check it out. This is Twiggy, the star of our film. Somebody has done something to her car. It's all messed up. It's causing her some problems. She plays Katie Lewis. She freaks out and calls her husband Ben.
No, but the carport's dead and the car's wounded.
Where are you now?
At home.
So when Ben comes home, he looks at the side of the car. He's going to see there's a W on the side of it, which you just saw there. What does that W mean? Whoa! And then another accident.
About Don Quixote.
Billy is her former husband.
I know it's done. I'm sorry.
And something happens to the brakes on the other car, and when Ben is driving it, he's having a few issues down by the docks. Yeah, Twiggy's going to take a shower while Ben is calling prison to see if her husband is still behind bars.
His name is Calder. With a C. C-A-U-L-D-E-R. William Calder.
Well, he is still there. Then Twiggy screams from the shower because there's a W. Could that stand for William?
Broke out, maybe he was paroled.
How could he find me?
I don't know. I just know it's him. It has to be.
I just stayed away. Let him go to jail. All this time in jail for killing his wife. And I'm still alive.
She apparently set him up. He's in jail for murdering her. And again, I believe it's a dream sequence here where she's flashing back to when she was married to William, or with William. He used to abuse her. An investigator named Jasper shows up.
Yeah, we like it.
Uninvited.
First, the mechanic who repaired Mrs. Lewis's car. He told me that he thought someone had tampered with the gas pedal to cause an accident.
He says he can help him.
They won't know what it is. No embarrassing questions. Everything's confidential. Mr. Lewis.
At one point they're out and they come back and they find that one of the rooms has been trashed.
There's a crazy man out there. Now he's got a gun, my gun. Today he butchered our dogs. Comes back here tonight, we gotta get that son of a bitch.
Back in McKenna in a matter of hours, and no one will connect you with it whatsoever.
Put back.
He's apparently out on a work release program.
That's all it takes.
You mean framing?
Catherine Calder, Mrs. William Calder.
That sounds like Dirk Benedict's voice.
Has been in prison for 4 years.
Her husband.
Convicted of her murder on circumstantial evidence. No body was ever found. Calder to this day swears he is innocent. He is now serving his 4th year for second-degree murder. 4 years.
Is that his
4
voice?
years.
Is that his voice?
4 years.
A tape recorder. He calls the prison again to confirm whether or not
William Calder.
he's there.
He was transferred there from...
I'm sorry, sir. We have only one Calder, William. Transferred from Soledad Prison.
Pardon?
Apparently it's a minimum security prison, and Ben decides to tour it, because apparently this prison has tours. A little far-fetched. He's trying to catch a glimpse of her husband, William, and he does so. He finds him.
I saw him, Katie. He's in there. So help me God, he's in there. I saw him. It's Jasper. Jasper's the one that hurt you and killed.
So Ben goes after Jasper.
Calder is a model prisoner in a minimum security prison. A joint where they have a work release program for mama's boys. Oh, it's very progressive. Calder.
But then Jasper confronts them with the truth. He knows their story.
What didn't happen? No wonder he's on your back. That's the bummest rap I've ever heard of.
He wants money.
I think 5,000 should still do it. For now.
He'll go after her husband, and he'll keep their story quiet.
I even told him I wanted his child.
Apparently the police now find out about their story because
I my hand on the stove.
they believe
And I ran off.
her husband's body has
Came
been
after
found.
me. Don't know why.
And of course they believe Ben
He
did
brought me
it.
back.
This is John Vernon, their attorney.
Phone number and address.
You know, Ben, strangely enough, everything that's been happening to you can help us.
The right to be represented by counsel at all stages of the proceedings.
And they're now arresting
He's been
Ben.
murdered at all stages. Anything you tell us can't be used on...
Damn it! Who's been killed?
The deceased's name is William Calder.
Body nearly destroyed by flames. Cause of death determined to be gunshot wounds in chest and head. Enough unburned flesh discovered to provide fingerprints positively identifying deceased as William Calder.
Accidents, not the W's, the dogs. There's no fingerprints on the tape recorder, nothing. What about Jasper? There's no trace of him. Did they check his office?
Well, we found your gun, Mr. Lewis. Found it in the sand on your beach. It's definitely the murder weapon.
That gun was stolen. It was stolen. I told you that.
By whom, Mr. Lewis? Hardly by the dead man.
Samuel Tenley, confidence man, released 5 months ago from McKenna prison, no current address.
Jasper wasn't an
Don't you see they were
investigator.
in this together? Calder and him, they planned the whole thing.
So while Ben is being held by the police, she goes home to find Dirk Benedict, Billy, her husband, still alive. He's a little forceful with her. Police said they had fingerprints on that body. Turns out Billy cut off 2 of his fingers and left them with that body so police would believe he was dead. Billy says they're leaving.
Damn it, now hurry up!
Why?
Because we're leaving, Ellen. We're going away.
Where?
To prison. It's your turn.
Billy has all kinds of plans.
Now, I've got Sam Tenley's car out there. I've got your Ben Lewis's $2,500, and I got plans. Plans for you.
Billy smacks around a little bit.
It's over. I'm sorry.
And Billy has some sort of freak out. Billy kind of collapses to the ground, and Ellen or Katie comforts him to some degree. As she comforts him, their attorney, John Vernon, shows up. Apparently he is about to call the police, and that's how our movie ends. Alright, let's talk about W, or is it W? I don't know. Anyway, I actually have two movies in my collection that are called W, although neither one of them is that Oliver Stone movie about George W. Bush. I actually was trying to find this movie, see if it was available on DVD, and I came across something on Barnes & Noble website. They were advertising a movie called W on DVD, and it had the description of this movie, 1974, Twiggy, Dirk Benedict, so I snatched it up, but it wasn't that W. It wasn't this W. It was something from the 80s. Looked like some sort of Mad Max ripoff. I don't know what the hell it is. I never watched it, but anyway, maybe I'll review that at some point. Anyway, this movie here stars Twiggy, one of the first supermodels from the 60s. 1974 this came out. She plays a woman who was in an abusive relationship, so she decided to leave her husband, and after she left him, she just kind of disappeared. The police thought she was dead, and they thought that her husband had killed him, and her husband ended up getting tried for murder and convicted. Second-degree murder, so he's in prison. Meanwhile, Twiggy here has run off to start a new life with a new man. They're obviously not married because she's still legally married to Dirk Benedict, her husband. But she has this new life. But anyway, she starts to get terrorized. Something is happening. People, near accidents are happening to her. Her car is messed up. Somebody breaks into her house, breaks a whole bunch of stuff. And anytime something happens, a spray-painted W is left. W happens to be the name of her former husband, William. William called her Billy. So she thinks Billy is out and terrorizing her. So her husband does some investigation. They find out that Billy is still in jail. So they can't figure this out. They get some sort of police guy or some sort of investigator comes to the house to help them and says, hey, I'll give you a hand, blah, blah, blah. We'll figure this out. And it turns out that he's on a work release program, and he does get out at night or during the day and go to the prison at night. So they think maybe it is him doing this. But ultimately, that's not the case at all. The investigator who is actually milking them for money, because he actually finds out the truth. He confronts them at one point and says, hey, I know the real story here. You framed your husband for murder, blah, blah, blah. So he kind of blackmails them for $5,000. Ultimately, it's discovered that this blackmailer isn't a real investigator. He's a con man. He was actually in prison with Dirk Benedict, and they concocted this plan. They tracked her down, and they were just ultimately going to just keep bilking them for more money, a blackmail type of deal. Eventually, the investigator disappears, and then Dirk Benedict shows up at the house, and because at this point, a body was found, and they thought it was Dirk Benedict's body, and they thought that Twiggy and her husband, her new man, had killed him, because eventually the police found out the real story here, what was going on. Turns out that's not what happened, though. I don't know whose body it was that burned, but it was burned beyond recognition except for 2 fingers, which they were able to find. Turns out Dirk Benedict cut off 2 of his fingers and left him with that body so he could be identified and police would think he is dead. Anyway, he shows up at the house, and Twiggy's new man is arrested at this point. Twiggy's there by himself. It's got a really weird ending, though. At one point, Dirk Benedict says, you're going to go to prison, pack your things, we're going, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, he has some sort of freak out, collapses to the ground, and then Twiggy, embraces him. And that's kind of how the movie ends. I have no idea what the hell that ending was all about. I just don't get it. I read some reviews of this movie. They said that the original reviews were not good at all. They were really bad, and Twiggy was panned for this. But I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. It was just kind of a strange film. It's probably rated PG. I don't know. There's no nudity, nothing really overly sexual or gore related. Did anybody even die in this movie? I don't even think so. Just kind of a weird little mystery, but kind of an unknown film. Anyway, it's put out by Vestron Video in the 80s, and I have a pre-recorded VHS of this. It's not available on DVD. This is a DVD-R that I copied from my VHS, but it's called W. I'm curious what you think about it, if you've ever seen it, or otherwise track it down, stream it. I'll put a link in my email down, or my thing down below, so you can buy this off Amazon if you want. It's called W. Watch it. Bye.